Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you coming in and checking out and seeing what we've got new. This is the second part of the two-parter that I talked about on the last video. The last video was a practice day or a fun day that I had out fishing on Banner Marsh on Maine and discovered a pattern that I hoped would hold through the rest of June for a Presley's Elite Tournament that my partner and I, Brian and I, had towards the end of June. And so this shows a little bit of one more practice day, and then shows some of the fish that we caught on the tournament day. And all but one of the fish that we weighed in came off the pattern that I found back on that Memorial Day weekend trip. So it worked out pretty well for us. We got 10th out of 50 boats. We weighed in about 14 and a half pounds with four fish. So a little better than a little better than a 3 pound, almost a 3.5 pound average that we had. So not bad sized fish that we brought to the scales. We just came up one short of getting a limit and getting in the top, probably top 5 or 6 if we would have got another limit the size that we'd been catching. So just one of those days, mostly worked out, but not to perfection, which would be fishing, right? So I think we'll try to jump in and take a look at the video, but for the most part, the pattern that I showed you in the last video, outside edge of the weed lines, 10 feet of water using drop baits is pretty much what produced for us. So we're going to use kind of go through and just show what we were doing, both one more day of practice, just a few fish from that practice day, and then show some of the fish catches from the tournament. So thanks again for joining the channel. Hit the subscribe button. It really does help out, and look forward to seeing you out on the water. Thanks. All right, here we are out on a practice day. This was probably a week or so before the tournament. Ends up being a cloudy, overcast day with a lot of ends up raining on us, as you'll see. So I ended up having to turn the camera off for a while because I forgot to bring my waterproof kit for the camera. But I did catch a few fish. And once again, catching fish kind of the same way that we talked about earlier in the video, the last video that you saw, as well as in the kind of the preamble to this one here, where um, 8, 10 feet of water, throwing a drop bait, outside edge. Here's a slot fish, 14 incher that I caught. So at least I know there's still fish kind of on that pattern. Um, Not really the one that we need for a tournament, but at least we've got something that we can work with here. And then keep working the area, come up with another one. Let's get some of the splash sound out of here and do that. And then you can see it's starting to rain here a little bit. And so set the hook on another one. Again, 8, 10 foot of water, edge of the weed line. This ends up being an over. So I now know that we've got a pattern that is held for 3 weeks, and we'll put some overs in the boat. So I was pretty happy about getting that. And then cleared off a little bit, so I was able to switch to some different clothes. Still catching some slots through this process. And again, a lot of these fish came on my rocket craw that you guys have seen me throw many times before. It's really just a bait that I got a lot of confidence in. And that's really what it comes down to. It's not so much about the specific drop bait you're throwing. I'm throwing a lot of green pumpkin. I do believe in green pumpkin, but it's really about a bait that you've got confidence in. I do think the edge of weed lines green pumpkin works out pretty well. This ends up being another pretty good fish here. This ends up being this is the one I think it is, ends up being right at 5 pounds. So, another 3 or 4 hour trip out fishing, got a couple overs, including one 5-pounder, all doing the same pattern. So I feel like we've got a pattern and some spots, locations that we can go hit on tournament day and do pretty well. And so that's really what we're going to go after. So this is, it kind of ends the practice session of what we were able to do. And here in a few minutes, we'll show you some of the fish catches that we had during the tournament. All right, this is tournament day. You can see my partner Brian, in the back of the boat here. Unfortunately, I'd already caught one that was ended up weighing in at 4 pounds 12 ounces, but I messed up the camera and didn't get it recorded. So there's just something for me about fishing a tournament, trying to keep track of the pattern and everything. Sometimes I don't get the camera right on tournament days and miss a catch. And so I missed my own catch. So I had a 4 pound 12 ouncer that I got in the boat, and but didn't get it on camera. So we've already missed that. So we've already got one in the boat doing exactly what we've been talking about the last couple of videos here. Fishing drop baits, 8-10 feet of water, edge of the weed line, green pumpkin, and so we've got one in the boat, and then Brian decides to show me that my pattern doesn't just work for me, it works for him. And so he flips out in that same general area that we've been talking about, and he ends up here in a few seconds. Come on, Brian, get a bite. There it is. That's the hook. I don't believe him as a keeper, so I kind of stand there and watch it, look at it, and he has to boat flip it because I'm not really believing it's a keeper, and he gets it in the boat, and the doggone thing grows and ends up being just a little bit over 18 inches, so it ends up being perfectly what we want. Brian's throwing a different bait. I don't have a picture of the bait he was throwing, but it was green pumpkin as well. And so we measure this one, and it comes in right at 18 inches. And so now we got keeper number 2 in the boat. So it's about 8:30 in the morning. Now here's the problem that we have right here. So both fish that we caught, you saw how overcast it was. We're about to catch our third fish here, but you can see it's clearing off. And this is about the last bite we get on this pattern, because it clears off and it's sunny the rest of the day, and our pattern just dies. So I spent a whole month milking this pattern and getting it ready for this tournament. And as soon as the cloud cover leaves, my pattern leaves. So that ends up being problematic for us. But Brian gets us one more in the boat before the pattern totally shuts down. This one ends up being a 19-incher. It actually looked a lot bigger. I got a huge head on this fish. When it came up right there, I thought it was a 5-pounder. But it ended up being a nice 4-pounder. So we got that in the boat. And so now we've got 3. We didn't realize that the sun was going to kill our pattern. So here we are at like 8:45 in the morning. We got 3 overs in the boat, and we're thinking we're on an easy path to getting a limit of 5. Well, you can see what the weather did, right? I mean, look at this. It is beautiful blue sky. It was a gorgeous day. Beautiful blue skies, no wind, and the pattern that I've been milking for a month has just gone dead, and we're not catching squat. And we've been fishing for like 3 hours since you saw that last fish that Brian just caught, and we haven't put but maybe 1 or 2 shorts in the boat, and that's it. And so we started doing some different stuff. Finally decided the pattern was gone and we needed to come up with something else. So we started doing some flipping in the grass, and Brian got us our 4th keeper. So Brian ended up with 3 of the 4 for the day, which I'm always thankful when the partner is carrying the load for the day. But he ends up punching this slimy stuff that you see right over there. You see the slimy stuff in front of me. He's punching stuff just like that, and just pulls one out of the middle of all that slop. And there we go. There's number 4 in the boat. catches 3 of them. So Brian the boat, showing me how to wallop me on my own pattern, and we end up with a little over 14 pounds on 4 fish. I was like 14.5 pounds, and we end up with cashing a check and getting 10th place at the Presley's tournament. So we were pretty happy with the way that panned out. One other thing I just want to show real quick, and just kind of just a little bit of um, what you see. I am like fully enclosed in clothing here. I've had so many skin cancers I can't count removed. In fact, I've got another one that's going to get taken off here in a couple weeks, and so I cover up as best I can when that sun comes out. So if you compare, here I am dressed up now compared to where I was when it was cloudy or when it was rainy in some of the other videos, and you can see I am pretty covered up here, trying to keep myself out of getting into trouble with the skin cancer. I highly recommend. Same thing, right? I got a hook gaiter, got the hat and the glasses. I've got fish monkey gloves. I've got a UPF shirt, and then these are Bass Addicts leggings. Yeah, they look kind of wonky, but they really do help keep the sun off my legs. And you can see I don't have very much of my skin showing in a sunny day like this. So I do recommend everybody go out and protect themselves. If you're fishing a lot or out in the sun a lot, you can end up with skin cancer. I've had it so many times I can't count anymore. So I do recommend everybody go kind of find a way to protect themselves from that as well. So anyways, it was a good tournament. We ended up, like I said, with 4 fish. Brian catching 3 of them. Sorry I didn't get the big one that I had on camera. But kind of gives you an idea of what we did and some ways to fish banner in the month of June. So thanks. Appreciate you joining the channel, watching the videos, and hit the subscribe button. It really does help out if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Bye.